If this is you sitting alone in your apartment, phone in hand, heart heavy with things unsaid, maybe this feels familiar, the quiet that's filled every room since she left. The silence that you thought would make her miss you, the silence you told yourself was strength, now feels like a weight you can't lift. You replay every conversation in your mind, every text you didn't send, every moment you let slip without saying what you really meant. And it's eating you alive from the inside out. You wonder, over and over, if she even thinks about you anymore. Did she notice your absence, the emptiness you left behind? Or did your quiet just disappear into the background of her life, unnoticed, like you never mattered as much as you thought? You tell yourself you're giving her space, that it's the right move. But somewhere deep down, you know it's tearing you apart too. You catch yourself scrolling through old messages, reading between the lines of things you said and didn't say, searching for a clue, a reason, a way to reach her without breaking your own pride. And every night, when the world goes quiet, your mind does what it wants. It rips through memories, imagines scenarios, asks questions you can't answer. Why did you freeze when words were needed? Why did you stay silent when your heart was screaming? And the hardest part, maybe you realize that your silence is hurting her more than the moment she walked away ever could. You feel trapped in your own thoughts, knowing you want to reach out, to speak, to fix something that's already broken, but terrified that any word you say might be too late, or worse, the wrong word. So you stay silent, waiting, hoping, drowning, and in that quiet you can't help but ask yourself, is she gone because of what you didn't say or because of everything you did? Most men get this wrong. They think silence is power, that withholding words will make her chase, make her realize what she lost. They believe that if they just disappear, if they just sit back and wait, she'll come running. But that's not how it works. Silence isn't strength when it comes from fear. It's not strength when it comes from pride. Strength is measured in presence, in clarity, in the ability to communicate without panic or desperation. Here's what most men don't see when you go silent. You're not giving her space. You're creating uncertainty, confusion, and emotional tension that she never asked for. She doesn't need a puzzle. She doesn't need a man who disappears into his own head. She needs a man who knows his value, who can carry himself with grounded confidence, who can handle the emotions that come from loss without losing himself in them. That's a core masculine principle: mastery over yourself first, clarity in your purpose second. Not hiding, not shrinking, not hoping she'll feel your absence enough to come back. Another truth many men resist is that communication is not weakness. Showing emotional intelligence, even in moments of tension, does not make you less of a man. It makes you rare. Most men confuse vulnerability with weakness. Real strength is the ability to feel, to process, and to act decisively without letting fear dictate your actions. When you grasp this, silence becomes a tool, not a trap. It's the controlled silence of a man who knows exactly when to speak, not the anxious silence of a man who's lost his center. If you've been waiting, hoping, holding back, thinking that absence equals power, what I want you to understand is this power doesn't live in the quiet you impose. Power lives in your ability to show up fully, grounded, and aware, even when your heart is aching. That's the difference between a man who loses and a man who is never truly lost. The apartment is quiet. The kind of quiet that presses against your ears, that makes the hum of the refrigerator feel deafening. You're sitting on the edge of the couch, phone in your hand, thumb hovering over her name. You tell yourself not to text, not to call, not again. Pride, fear, control. You call it whatever you need to make yourself feel strong. But the truth, every second of this silence feels like a slow ache through your chest. You remember the last time she left, how the door clicked behind her, and the air seemed heavier than usual. You didn't chase her. You didn't argue. You stayed quiet. And at the time, it felt right, stoic, composed, in control. But now, hours, days, maybe weeks later, the weight of your words unsaid presses down on you. You see her face in every corner of your apartment, every memory replaying like a film stuck on loop. And with each replay, You realize your silence is louder than any argument you could have had. You hear her voice in your head, not angry, not pleading, just disappointed. Not in her leaving, but in your absence. You imagine her lying awake at night, wondering why you didn't speak, why you let the quiet grow into a wall between you. And you start questioning yourself, did I really love her, or did I love the idea of control more than the woman who was right in front of me? The clock ticks. You breathe, slow, shallow. You feel the room close in, the silence filling the space between your heart and hers. And deep down, the truth hits you harder than her leaving ever could. It's not the distance she created. It's the distance you chose, the words you swallowed, the moments you let slip into emptiness. The silence you thought would protect you is the thing that's breaking her, and you can't take it back. Most men believe silence is power. They tell themselves, if I don't speak, she'll realize what she's lost. That's a lie. Silence isn't strength when it comes from fear. True strength is clarity, presence, and the courage to communicate even when it feels risky. She doesn't need a man who disappears. She needs a man who shows up steady, grounded, and unshakable. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. Another false belief is that emotions make you weak. Many men think showing care or expressing pain will make them less masculine, but the reality, emotional intelligence is rare, and it's magnetic. Handling your feelings, facing your mistakes, and speaking your truth isn't weakness. It's the foundation of respect and connection. Silence driven by pride doesn't protect you, it isolates you. Your quiet isn't mysterious. It's hurting the one you love most. Finally, men believe time fixes everything. They hope distance will make her miss them, that absence equals power. But absence without intention is just neglect. She doesn't want a man who waits passively. She wants a man who acts with self-respect and courage, who communicates what matters, and who doesn't let fear dictate his presence. Waiting quietly isn't patience, it's surrender. The wake up here is simple. Your silence isn't mysterious, it isn't strategic, and it isn't strong. It's costly. It's breaking her heart while you sit thinking you're protecting yourself. The truth is this: real power, real masculinity lives in your ability to show up fully, speak your truth, and act without apology, even when your chest feels heavy. That's the man she remembers. That's the man worth keeping. This is what the 1% headmen understand. Silence is only powerful when it comes from mastery, not fear. He knows that disappearing doesn't create respect. It creates doubt. He doesn't hide behind quiet to manipulate her feelings or test her loyalty. Instead, he leads with presence, not pressure. He shows up fully in his own life, in his own purpose, and in his own emotions. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. He doesn't wait for her to chase him. He doesn't hope she notices his absence. He moves with confidence, clarity, and grounded energy. When he speaks, it matters because it's measured, intentional, and honest. He understands that his words aren't a weapon. They're a bridge. Silence doesn't punish. It communicates strength only when paired with awareness, self-control, and inner certainty. The 1% headman never lets fear dictate his actions. He doesn't shrink, he doesn't withdraw, and he doesn't let pride or anxiety control him. He feels, he processes, and he acts decisively. And in that calm authority, he creates a magnetic presence that no absence or doubt can diminish. This is the difference. While most men get lost in the quiet, the headman stands firmly in himself, and in doing so, becomes the man worth remembering. The man whose presence heals instead of hurting. The rain taps against the window like a rhythm only your heart can hear. You're sitting alone, shoulders heavy, the silence you've wrapped around yourself finally pressing so hard it hurts. And then it hits you, like a sudden, sharp clarity in the fog of your mind, that she never left because she didn't care. She left because she couldn't reach you. Your pride, your fear, your quiet, all the walls you built to protect yourself, became the cage that trapped both of you. You feel it in your chest, a tightening, and then a release, as if the air itself is telling you the truth. Waiting doesn't make her miss you. Silence doesn't make you stronger. What makes you strong is remembering yourself, remembering the man who can stand fully, even in the age of longing, without shrinking or apologizing for feeling. In that moment, you realize the power has always been inside you, not in her reactions, not in her absence, not in your waiting. You remember your worth, not as someone trying to be needed, but as someone whole, capable, and untouchable in his presence. And just like that, the waiting stops. The ache softens, you really breathe, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you remember who you are. The truth is simple, and it's heavy. She never needed you to disappear. She needed you to show up. Every moment you stayed quiet, every word you swallowed, didn't make her miss you. It made her wonder if you ever really saw her or yourself. Strength isn't measured in absence, in withheld words, or in walls built from fear. Strength lies in presence, in clarity, in a man who feels deeply yet stands unwavering. And the hardest, most freeing truth you'll carry: the man she needed was already inside you. You just had to remember to be him.